Hello, hello, hello everyone, and welcome to the Anime Cast Revived. It has been a few years, but I used to do videos like this. Uh, if you go to the main channel, you scroll down, there's a playlist called Anime Cast from 6 years ago. And yeah, about maybe once a week or so, I would do a question of the week and we would just talk about anime related things. It was really fun. And at some point I stopped after 22 videos, and then I would just put like any long discussion video in this playlist. But for now, I'm actually going to be using my third channel. So I have three channels. The first one is called Anime-chan, where I do my reactions. The second one is called Anime-chan Games, where I play games. And then the third one is called Anime-chan Sanban. I don't know if I translated it correctly, but it basically is supposed to mean Anime-chan third. So that's a channel where I post my manga read-alongs and discussions, which are usually an hour to 2 hours long. So I think that fits the kind of like podcast category, but this is obviously more specifically, um, I don't know, long format discussion content. I am leaving the background quiet on purpose so that you can play your own music, whatever you choose, over my voice. If you just want to like listen to me in the background, play some music, do your games, whatever you want. That's kind of the purpose of the video. If I could recommend some music, I've been listening to a lot of this kind of medieval music, uh, ethereal piano compilation. This channel is Forest of Light, and I don't know if I've listened to any of these specifically, but they were recommended to me. I listened to a lot of Pokemon Lo-Fi too, but ooh, this one is nice. The Blue Turtle. We've listened to some of that as well. Welcome to the beautiful animate cast final holy wonderful pretty super magnum sexy glamorous chero revived. Talking about Bleach, the question of the week that I posted on my Discord was, what is your top 3 shonen and why? My initial goal was to choose like 10 answers and read through them, give my own answer, and then just show the other answers. But I got more than 10 answers and I was really happy about that. And I thought, instead of doing like a 15-minute like discussion video, let's just do it the way that I love to do content, which is long format, lots of talking, lots of rambling, all kinds of things. So instead of limiting myself to 15 minutes, I'm actually just going to be reading through all the answers that I can. If there were discussions in between, I'm going to be looking at them as well. And I'm going to try and like count which shonen gets mentioned the most. So let me just read through the question. What are your top 3 shonen anime? If you have time, please give a reason or 2 for choosing your number 1. So initially, people were not really sure what counts as shonen. Like, is it only battle shonen or any kind of shonen? But I didn't want to be too specific. I wanted, just give your answers, whatever they may be, whatever comes up for you. So Modru chose One Piece, Black Clover, and Dr. Stone. No reason given. Short and sweet. There are obviously longer answers, and like I said, I'm going to be counting which one gets mentioned the most, just out of curiosity, If I wanted to do this really, really well, I would have liked to count which ones get mentioned the most, but also which one gets mentioned as number 1 the most, not just. I'm looking forward to seeing yours. I wanted to join in too, but it's been so stressful. I didn't have the time to think. I'm not gonna lie to you. I haven't really thought about my answer much either. This week has been really busy, but I'm going to answer by the end of the video and give my reason as well. Although I already know what's my number 1. I just don't know about 2 and 3 yet. So, Kraken answered Dragon Ball. So we put DB. Negima, I've never heard of that one. I'm going to be honest with you. And Dragon Quest Dai. Dragon Quest Dai. I've only heard about the games for Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest Dai. I've only heard about the games for Dragon Quest, and I really would like to play any Dragon Quest game at any time in the future. Kraken also answered, if it's just Shonen, it's Love, Hina, GTO, and Dragon Ball. So that kind of changes things. Because it's not just supposed to be Battle Shonen, it's any Shonen. So their answers are different. GTO should be there, and Love, Hina should be there. I'm just going to write everything down. Love, Hina, and the GTO. Tiago said that my top 3 shonen anime are One Piece. We have another one for One Piece. Gintama, first mention for Gintama, and Hitman Reborn. Hitman Reborn. Between One Piece and Gintama being my tops are shared number 1. So they both have, One Piece and Gintama share the first position. My reason boils down to my core priorities being met for either amazing story or comedy, which as far as I'm concerned, I received in spades from both One Piece and Gintama. It can be between world building, execution of the story themes, making me laugh or get somewhat sappy. Both excel, telling at them in tandem, especially the antics Gintama gets up to in the middle of the story. Yeah, I watched all of Gintama pretty much. I don't remember what stands out more, when the show gets serious or when the show gets crazy. I feel like the antics I've remembered the antics and the craziness more than the serious moments. But I do remember that it did get very serious and, emotional at times. So Star says, either way, I think I have a list. Whether it needs to be battle, action, or just any kind of shonen, but I need time to put together my choices. Oh, the reason for the choices. Okay, so we'll get to Star's answer later then. Vert says, I just used AniList tags as the decider if I wasn't sure if it was shonen or not. So Vert's answer is Chainsaw Man, JoJo, and Mob Psycho. Mob. Nox, I'm really excited for JoJo's part 7. Please confirm they are releasing them 1 per week, right? They're not doing it like one half. Nox says, my big 3 of shonen are, okay, another one for Gintama, another one for One Piece, and Kenshin. Another one that I want to watch someday, Rurouni Kenshin. Espada, Dragon Ball Z with a big Z, or Zetto. It is the anime I have rewatched the most times. Almost every episode is a banger. I could and will rewatch it every year, all 291 episodes. Also, have to add, the OG DB is really good, and then there is GT SSJ4, my favorite form. The games, the memes, no wonder DBZ stands above all other shows. Of course, this opinion is heavily nostalgia-based, as one who grew up with Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, One Piece, and DBZ era. So I'm going to write specifically, I'm going to make a separation between Dragon Ball and specifically Z. But you did say OGDB and the GT has your favorite form. So technically it's kind of like, even though you heavily lean into Z, I'm gonna add it just to DB, if that makes sense. I think it falls under the same. Although it's difficult because some people might say Dragon Ball Z is their favorite, but then they've never even seen Dragon Ball. But in your case, I think it counts as a whole because you've seen everything. Even if Z is your favorite under the Dragon Ball franchise, you still have watched all of Dragon Ball. So, number 2, Bleach. Hey, first Bleach mention. It has the 10 espadas, great VAs. I love the concept of Bankai and the resurrection. Also, it has an amazing soundtrack. I love the character designs, the power system with Kido and Bakudo, and the Zanpakuto. The Hollows give me horror vibes, and I absolutely love it. Everything about Bleach just works for me, even the 4 filler arcs. I also really like the filler in Bleach for the most part. I honestly didn't have that much anime to watch. Bleach was one of my earliest ones, and I didn't have everything. I only had like 150 or so episodes, because I remember there being a filler arc in there, and I thought it was hilarious. And I would watch Bleach again for sure. All of it. Espada says, in my opinion, Kubo is the best manga artist. I even went to read some of his other works, such as Zombie Powder and Burn the Witch. And then 3rd place, we have the first mention, I'm quite surprised, Hunter x Hunter. The Chimera Ant arc, Meruem and Komugi playing Gungi, enough said. That alone speaks for itself. Okay, so then Doji. My top 3 are another one for JoJo's. D. Gray Man. It's also my number 1 manga of all time, with my MC of all time, Alan Walker. So let's add D. Gray Man. Okay, I spelled gray wrong, but it's fine. And Dragon Ball Z. So would you guys, what do I do here? Am I adding it to Dragon Ball, or if someone says Z, should I add the Z? Should we separate? I don't think that we should, but not in our community do I think we need to separate. But in the vast world out there, especially among people who watch only the English, and yes, I'm still getting comments from people saying, watch the English, the Japanese is this, blah, blah, blah. People can be rude too. Like, they really don't know that them preferring the English is so subjective. It's very exhausting. Booty says, I would add DB and Z together. I would only differentiate GT, Super, or Daima. I think for our community, I'm going to be listing everything under under Dragon Ball as a whole. Then Booty says, my top 2 are DB, All, and One Piece. But those 2 are rankless for me. So I will give top 3 without those 2. So meaning they transcend. Like, they cannot even be ranked. They are like, is it kind of like that? So do I not list them because you have a different top 3? Okay. So 3rd, as the newest inclusion to the list, My Hero Academia. Great story, so many good characters that there is not enough time for all of them in 8 seasons, but it's still a great anime. Nice. You started watching My Hero Academia at some point while playing Waifu Wars. Not because of, but I do remember you talking to you in the Waifu Wars chat, and you said you were going to start watching it, right? That's a good idea, Sotos. I'm just going to get that Joey clip and be like, your point is like a cow's opinion. It's moo. Okay, so we have My Hero Academia in 3rd place. Saint Seiya, driven by nostalgia and probably the best OST of any anime. It's not as good as others, but every time I see it anywhere, I can't do anything else than sit and watch. So, Saint Seiya. Am I saying that correctly? And first, the least shonen of the list, and not a battle shonen, but it should still count, Death Note. Clever characters are usually always at the top of my favorites, and this is the anime that did the job best with clever characters. it needs to be on top of my ranked shonens. Personally, if you ask me what is Death Note, I would probably have said seinen, but that is part of the discussion, is what's the difference between shonen and seinen, right? Seinen is written towards young adults, which is kind of like vague. A shonen is adults can watch it. There are many mature themes, but it's aimed at a younger generation. So what do you think? What would be your opinion? I know that there's an official, like I can go check on AniList and there's an official tag for it, but out of your personal feeling, what would you categorize Death Note as? Because for me, my first reaction is seinen. But even Attack on Titan, I feel, is very seinen, and I get what makes it a seinen. It's such a blurred. It really is so it doesn't matter, but interesting question, right? It was over 60% of shonen in AniList, but it's hard for me to put it on pure shonen. Yeah, it kind of like blurs the line, right? But when you think about it, shonen is written over many years. The kids it was initially aimed at grow up. So sometimes they do get darker, and sometimes they're pretty dark from the get-go. So I do think that the line exists, but not so much for us as the consumer, more for the ones officially publishing it. Because if you publish adult things for kids, you could get in trouble. So I think I would say Attack on Titan started as a shonen and switched to seinen. Because yeah. Interesting. Okay, so either way, Death Note. Death Note. Oh, Dio said, oh my gosh, I slipped my copy paste and I gotta rewrite everything. If that happened to me and I wrote a lot, I would probably not even rewrite it. Okay, here we go. Rohit. I think is the first mention of Attack on Titan. One of the first anime that I watched and the first ever manga that I read. I love the story, characters, and setting. I love what they did with the themes, war, revenge, racism, and one of my favorite gimmicks is time loop, and I never thought Isayama would do that and make it fitting in the Attack on Titan world. So then we have another one for One Piece. This has potential to be my favorite anime manga in the future if it sets all of the crewmates' character development. Yes, I'm looking at you, Usopp. I remember in quarantine after online class, I used to binge all the episodes on Telegram. There was no legal way to watch One Piece in my country at that time. Don't judge me. And it was a fun and memorable ride. I fear none other anime will be on this level of scope and hype like One Piece in the future. I even bought all manga volumes. And I know this is not the topic, but I think this is so important when it comes to not being able to watch something legally, because there's many times when an anime or something is on multiple, and especially manga, it's on multiple websites, but nothing, not in my country. Like on Crunchyroll, it would literally say not available in your region. If it's on High Dive, the whole of High Dive about a year or two ago suddenly decided we're not going to be streaming to South Africa anymore, and like, but look at it. Got into it on Telegram and then bought all of the manga volumes. And loves it, supports it, adds to the hype. Like, I understand that piracy is a problem, but when there are no other alternatives, I don't think it does as much damage as one would think, almost. But, I shouldn't say that. But Booty, we talked about it once with the Kimetsu no Yaiba movie, right? If you can send me that again, that could be a very interesting discussion in the future, but it's very risky. And I shouldn't be promoting it. But I'm not promoting it, I'm just opening up the floor for discussion. So then Dragon Ball, my first ever anime when I was a kid, like 5 or 6 years old. I remember watching in the afternoon after school, and it was always hype. I need this seriously to rewatch it because I don't remember it quite well. The reason I put this in the third position is for the impact that it had on me as a kid. Maybe I would never be an anime fan if I didn't watch Dragon Ball. Okay, so another point for Dragon Ball, yes. I can't legally support piracy, but everything I paid for is stuff that the Seven Seas allowed me to try for free. For me, when I started watching anime, I didn't really have any money to pay for Crunchyroll. So I did initially start watching it on some sites. But the moment that I could afford Crunchyroll, I now have Crunchyroll, I have Amazon Prime Video, I have Netflix, I paid for Disney Plus for Bleach. Like, if I can support, I will. But it's not always possible. Sometimes for people because of financial difficulties, and sometimes because of not being available. So, and this is not a defense or anything, but I just quickly want to read you something interesting. Someone posted around $5 million has been lost as 500,000 people have watched Infinity Castle on unknown sites after it was leaked in HD. So that was a post that was made. And Booty said 500 people at an average of $10 for each ticket is 5 million lost. They are lucky if 10,000 of those 500,000 people would have gone to the cinema at all. Like, even if it wasn't leaked, it doesn't mean that all those people would have gone to the cinema. And still, it would need to be compared to the more than 700 million that the movie did. So the movie did the movie get 700 million in. So 5 million might have been lost, but the movie still made 700 million. Yeah, I think that's quite interesting. The studio's revenue loss is believed to be between 2.5 million and 7.5 million. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Oh no. I think I just lost my place when I went to the DMs. Oh no. 助けて. Just give me a minute. While I scroll up, I would like to emphasize that I did go watch Demon Slayer in cinemas. And I wanted to go a second time, but I didn't have time. Now I have to wait for it to come out on Crunchyroll, and then I will rewatch it on Crunchyroll. Okay, here we go. Dio's answer after accidentally deleting he's typing. For shonen definition, I'm going to go with the AniList tags plus the magazine of first publication if it had shonen in it. That should do it. Since you asked for favorite anime, I won't take into account the manga at all. Otherwise, my answer would be very different. Good topic there too. We can do manga in the future and how it might differ from your favorite anime. Good point. First, Death Note. It's the anime that got me into anime. So there's another one for Death Note. Where did I write Death Note? Oh, here. I was only a manga reader before, and I think the publication in French was really behind, or at least it was in the library where I was reading. Only one volume. It made the 12-year-old me discover that there was more to manga and anime than aura farming and battle in manga. I was thinking all the time about whose side I'm on and how they can beat each other, while also debating who was right and who was wrong. Second, Attack on Titan. Okay, there's another one for Attack on Titan. I went to watch it first before reading because friends were telling me the action was barely readable, but magic in the anime. I went for the action, but I stayed for the mysteries. I adored it for the last part, season 4 plus, and the message that the author conveyed. Good answer. Okay, I already added Attack on Titan, and the last but not least, Beastars. Usually, if I watch something before I read it and then I go to read the source quite quickly, but this time I didn't, and I'm not sure that I will. I loved everything about the anime. The CGI and the visuals charmed me, and the openings are out of this world. Of course, the main story characters and global theme resonates with me and with some issues of our world. That's interesting. I don't really know anything about Beastars. Nothing. Yeah, I'm going to be turning this on and off a lot. Sorry about that. Let me quickly, just out of curiosity, I'm going to look up Beastars the About section. So it says, in a world populated by anthropomorphic animals, herbivores and carnivores coexist with each other. For the adolescents of Cherryton Academy, school life is filled with hope, romance, distrust, and uneasiness. The main character is Legoshi the Wolf, a member of the drama club. Despite his menacing appearance, he has a very gentle heart. Throughout most of his life, he has always been an object of fear and hatred by other animals, and he's been quite accustomed to that lifestyle. But soon, he finds himself becoming more involved with his fellow classmates, who have their own share of insecurities, and finds his life in school changing slowly. It kind of reminds me of Zootopia. You know, because of the one character and the prejudice and... Interesting. For this kind of theme, I really respect Attack on Titan because it to me, it's not uncommon to have themes nowadays in the last maybe 20 years about prejudice, and for good reason. But what I really love about Attack on Titan is it goes so far as to make you understand why the prejudice exists. You know, sometimes because of history and stuff and how difficult it can be to let go, yeah, I don't know how to say it, but Attack on Titan says it very well. I think Attack on Titan should maybe... Oh, but I'm going to have to give my answer later, but it's going to be tough. Okay, next up is V. Sometimes I think my PC is in streamer mode, so people's names don't fully show up. Not everyone's names. So if I don't recognize your profile picture, I'm not going to recognize your name. Like, I recognize Valenon, V dot dot dot, but I don't recognize this V dot dot dot. But some people have their names, Kraken, Momonosuke, so I'm really confused as to how this works, but sorry if I can't read your name out loud. V with a Pokemon picture says, my number 3 would be Frieren Beyond Journey's End. Surprisingly, it is published as a shonen, so I place it in my top 3. Awesome, I didn't know that. But I can see why, Sort of. Number 2 would be Chainsaw Man. So we have another one for Chainsaw Man. And my number 1, One Piece. I know, not very original. There's a good reason why people are putting One Piece first. Personally, Oda carefully put a lot of thought into the way that the world and the vast cast of characters are built. As the series progresses, several layers shape the story with more mature and darker themes, especially at the stage where the anime is right now. But this also applies to the manga, obviously. Lots of hilarious as well as emotional moments. I try to stay as vague as possible to avoid spoilers. Okay. This V is Vongo Guy. Thank you for your answer. I'm hoping that I'm remembering to add a point for everything, but I'm doing my best here, but I think I might miss one here and there. Valenon, Dragon Ball / Dragon Ball Z. So there's another point. One of my first obsessions, definitely my first anime obsession, got me into anime as a whole, changed my life by getting me into drawing more than anything before it. And it changed my life through meeting people. Saved me because of that, a little bit. It really is kind of rankless. It's got a rankless presence in this list for me, like Booty chose to put it. Always like the fact that it's not too predictable despite the simplicity of it. The way that Toriyama wrote the action of the battles. The way he drew the manga. I know I myself wanted this list to be anime only based, hence why I excluded One Piece, but I can't not mention how good the manga looks. It's made to absolutely drive your eyes from one place to another with precision and skill, keeping you highly engaged and comfortable. I love that. So I already added 1 point for Dragon Ball. Then we have another one for Chainsaw Man. Mostly I'm fascinated by how Fujimoto chose to write a battle shonen. It is so specifically him, and that always keeps me interested. I love his take on the naive and carefree protagonist, the way he picked bare minimum as the goal for his protagonist's existence. The fact that it's bleak and bloody but very funny, the girls, the characters in general, and the simple but striking way that they are written. After all, I decided to put it on the list instead of JoJo's. I'm fascinated by the uniqueness of both works and the mind of both authors, but the way that Chainsaw Man got me was stronger after all. At least for now, I may or may not regret this choice when I get to part 7 properly. But I don't know if your answer is based just on the anime or the manga included, but if you're comparing like the first season and the movie of Chainsaw Man to all of JoJo's up to this point, part 7 may influence your answer later, but I mean, I think it's still a pretty amazing that a new shonen can compete with something as big and as established as, JoJo's. I have a book that I was gifted that I really, really like. And I'm so sorry that I need to write inside my books who gifted it to me, seriously. But Hirohiko Araki, the creator of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So it's his freaking book. And it's about manga in theory and practice. Any manga that can be considered famous, as well as any novel or movie, will share certain story beats that will never stop captivating audiences. The basic version of this structure can be summed up as Kisho Tenketsu, or introduction, development, twist, and resolution. So, I can't wait to read this someday. And one of my earliest goals as a content creator was to create my own manga. But it has been impossible for me after this point to learn how to freaking draw. But if I can rather, in my future, maybe like more like a light novel where it has mostly text and some images, I think that's more doable for me. But I will definitely read this book first. Rude. The only stalker or is the person who sent me Bear Boob Boa. Soto sent me a boa figure that is like the size of 2 bananas. And her top can come off. I don't even like boa. I don't appreciate it. I'm joking. Hanko just needs to glue on her hand and I'll display her somewhere. Her hand needs to be glued on. Mikasa's hand needs to be glued on. And I'm pretty sure there's one other character. I don't know why their hands are so vulnerable. Okay, and then Val said, and my actual favorite shonen out there is Mob Psycho 100. I'm not always thinking about it, but when I do, boy, am I thinking about it. It's thoughtful and well written. The making of its adaptation is an absolute labor of love, unique looking and full of talent. I love the characters, the humor, the way that Juan described it. A big story of a small step, and the overall philosophy. So let me add another one to Mob. Just display the hand somewhere. When you get in my home, the first thing you see at the door is the topless Hancock. And when your sister's children don't visit you, or what? You put a towel over it when they visit. Kraken replied to Booty saying, I didn't put Saint Seiya because of nostalgia, and because half of the series, before the Gold Saint, Poseidon and blah blah blah, is just okay. In fact, I prefer rewatching season 1 of Omega, thanks to Umakoshi, animation and direction. And then Booty replied, I don't disagree. I'm well aware that it's not as good as the others in many ways, but that's why it's on my list. If I see something streaming, Saint Seiya, I stop and watch. That only happens with Dragon Ball for me. Okay, next is Momonosuke. One Piece first by far. I watched it multiple times. It is the first anime that I watched. I watched it since 2010, and I still spend a lot of time watching One Piece videos every week. I discovered you and you started doing One Piece reactions. I grew up with One Piece, and the manga changed my life. Another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for One Piece. I was counting because I'm doing it like this. I know I shouldn't show something that is... I shouldn't show something on the screen if it's meant to be a podcast, but I'll just quickly... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's how I'm going to be counting it, like on a prison wall. Momonosuke continues. JoJo second, because I love the staging of the fights and the poses. Every fight is peak, and I love the characters, villains included, and their powers. Okay, another one for JoJo's. I hope I'm adding... I feel like some of these have too few points. Is someone helping me here? I hesitate between Naruto, Bleach, Fairy Tail, and Hunter x Hunter. I spent a lot of time watching each of them and watching theory videos, reading manga, and listening to their openings on repeat. Each one, or opening themes, each one has its own different universe, and they all hold an equal place in my heart. I choose Fairy Tail because it is the most underrated amongst the 4. That is the first person to say Fairy Tail, so good choice. It does deserve to be on this list. My real third place of all time is ReZero, but that's not a shonen. Hi Nox, nice to see you. Thank you so much for the sub. Happy 66 months. And then Momonosuke adds a special mention to the anime of the last 10 years that I followed season by season, and which do not yet benefit from nostalgia. My Hero Academia, Boruto, Black Clover, and Attack on Titan. For these 4, I basically did the same thing I did for the manga. I put it in third place, but they are not equal. I think they will in the next years. And after that, Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man, and Demon Slayer. I feel like Momonosuke, I resonate with his message because he seems to just love shonen in general, and that is so me. I just really like the themes in shonen about like perseverance and friendship. I just really love shonen, man. And the cast is always so likable. So it's gonna be difficult for me to narrow it down to a top three. Okay, here we go. Shubs. Pre said, Pre showed a picture of a guy reading a long list. And he said, I didn't even mention Food Wars, Frieren, Death Note, One Punch Man. You are seriously me, dude. Cheating. Dio said cheating. But it's cool to understand how much he loves. But he chose a top three. One Piece, JoJo's, Fairy Tail. Those were the three that got points. Those are the three that gets written down in my notes. She really loves Shonen, man. We know. One of them is on your t-shirt. This is Hanku's t-shirt. But yes, I stole it. Okay, next up is Shubs. Number one has to be Naruto. I think that is the first mention of Naruto. Can someone just check for me? Yeah, I'm pretty shocked. Naruto, okay. So Shubs is the first one to add Naruto to the list as far as the shonen genre is concerned, because despite not being the overall best, it is the quintessential shonen. Let me try saying that again. It is the quintessential shonen with values and lessons on friendship and family, with really good balance on the themes and mood for a teenage audience. On a personal preference level, I also enjoy the cyclic nature a lot because it demonstrates how history repeats itself and the interaction between generations. Very good, thoughtful answer. Number two is FMAB. FMAB. It's the overall best and for being a finished story, which I value a lot. And at number three, Jujutsu Kaisen, for being very aware of the genre and using tropes to its advantage. For the record, things like Chainsaw Man are much closer to a seinen for me, and things like Mob Psycho is entirely on the parody genre. So maybe those would also be in his top three, but they don't really fit the shonen genre. I do appreciate, the thoughtfulness of giving a very specific answer based on a very specific question. And then we have Peachy. This is based off the ones I've either finished or gotten far enough into to make a good judgment. Number one has to be Trigun, including the 2024 remake. Though this may just be recency bias, but I genuinely love the characters and the story, as well as the messaging behind it. I'm always a big fan of characters like Vash. Me too. So that is the first mention of Trigun. I know Spyler also really, really loves Trigun and Vash. Number two, Jujutsu Kaisen. Wait, did anyone mention Jujutsu Kaisen yet? We have Mob, Kenshin, Bleach, Hunter x Hunter, D. Greyman, My Hero Academia, Saint Seiya, One Piece, Black Clover, Doctor Stone, Dragon Ball, Negima, Dragon Quest Dai, Love Hina, GTO, Gintama, Hitman Reborn, Chainsaw Man, JoJo, Attack on Titan, Beastars, Frieren, Fairy Tail, Naruto, FMAB, Trigun, and now Jujutsu Kaisen. Okay. I watched this before I ever touched Naruto, so it was definitely an experience, especially with the high expectations it set for me when I got to the latter. Number three, it's hard to choose my third favorite since there are so many I would love to take the spot, but I will say My Hero Academia ranks slightly higher. Okay, so we have another one for My Hero. Okay. Antonio, short and the sweet. Dragon Ball Z. Mostly because of nostalgia, and I've watched it like 100 times. But DBZ has been my number one anime of all time. Number two, Naruto. So we have another one for Naruto. Especially the first part, but I do like Shippuden as well. Naruto was really memorable. A really memorable part of my adolescence, and I appreciate it for that. And number 3, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Not much to say, it's peak. Shubs put Jujutsu Kaisen in the message above as his third. Oh, shoot. Okay. Jujutsu Kaisen was mentioned by Shubs and Peachy. So the thing is here, Shubs was the first one to mention Naruto. No. Who mentioned Naruto first? Oh god, here we go. Because I have 2 points for Naruto. 1 for FMAB. And now I have 2 for Jujutsu Kaisen. Oh, see, Shubs was the first one to mention Naruto. Then Antonio also had 1 for Naruto. Shubs was the first one to mention FMAB and Jujutsu Kaisen. Peachy the second to mention Jujutsu Kaisen. Okay. I'm on top of things. Sort of. Okay, so to recap, Antonio said Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Not much to say, it's peak. And then next up we have Cherry, my friend from Switzerland. I just want to say Switzerland. Switzerland? Oh, maybe I should have just kept my mouth shut. Anyway. Number 1 has to be One Piece, of course. I started watching it in 2003 or 4-ish when it aired in Switzerland for the first time. And safe to say that it has shaped my childhood, growth, and morals, as dramatic as that sounds. I love the Straw Hats to bits, and the story is fantastic. It is so well written. I'm always in awe of Oda's mind and imagination. It's the greatest story ever. If I could rewatch one series for life, One Piece would be it. So that is interesting to me about how it shaped her growth and her morals because for various reasons, I'm sure, but maybe One Piece influenced it, she became a lawyer. Or is becoming a lawyer? She basically is a lawyer, okay. Number 2, I'm just bragging about my friend. Number 2, Attack on Titan. I absolutely love the show, the message, the mystery. I can't put it into words how brilliant the storyline is. Bonus, it gave me my favorite husband ever, which is Levi. So there's another one for Attack on Titan. And number 3, I wanted to choose Psyche K because of the amount of times I'm rewatching this anime is insane. But Gintama feels more shonen-y, and it has a special place in my heart. So the third spot goes to the Yorozuya. Yoro, I can't say it. I haven't watched it in a year. Yorozuya. I love how funny and completely random and crazy the story is, yet it has some of the wisest and the best life lessons. Plus, the fights are really great. Gintama is such a gem. So that's another one for Gintama. Sotos' better half. They are twins. Nora. Someone at least answered the question out of the 2 twins. Okay, but then again, Sotos is here, so fair enough. Anyway, Nora says, number 1, One Piece. For me, it is such a masterpiece. Oda is an absolute genius, and it was my first anime and the anime that I'm watching or reading every week for the past 16 years of my life. So there's no anime that can ever top it in my heart. Number 2, JoJo's. It's such a unique anime. I love the characters and how stylish they are, and it's so funny in such a unique way. And number 3, Naruto. So we have another one for Naruto. Honorable mention, because I really struggled with third place, Bleach and FMAB. Having Sotos here as a plus, I have to say that for legal reasons. But all he's done today is insult me. First, he told me my face looks sad. Probably like one of those droopy dogs. And then he just keeps calling me old. So, actually, maybe I'm going to stop talking now and continue. Dio di Warudo. One Piece. While it does have weak points, I don't think there's a single aspect of it that is actually horrible. It's good in every aspect. There's good characters, good plots, good emotional moments, good world building, lore building, fights, themes, mystery. It's evident with how many type of One Piece fans there are. One Piece is so well at being multifaceted that I find it impossible for me to lose interest. I'm always waiting chapter after chapter. Number 2, Hunter x Hunter. I love the world of Hunter x Hunter very much, and I find it tied with the world of One Piece. While One Piece world shows it by showing how big the world and the system is, with each island being a way to zoom in and out slowly, shows us the bigger picture. Hunter x Hunter shows us the world by being super intricate into the inner workings of the world, feeling more like a zooming in to see the workings of a clock. It has great characters, but not as many as One Piece. But some characters rival the best One Piece ones. I also love how complicated plot lines can get, where a million things are happening at the same time, but each storyline is important to each other. I don't think there's any story that has managed to do it as well as Hunter x Hunter. I also like the themes in the show. It rivals One Piece themes. While I do think the story is so good because of its hiatus, if Hunter x Hunter had more time to flesh out its world and story to be longer, I could see it beating One Piece for me. Me too, because you wrote a lot more about Hunter x Hunter than about One Piece. Okay, so I already added for One Piece. I think I did. And we have another one for Hunter x Hunter. And then last but not least, JoJo's. It has super fun characters that are engaging to witness, and some of them have good depth. My favorite power system, it's a good middle ground of complex yet free power systems, and I find some of the fights to be the best in all fiction. It has a great rereadability, second to One Piece, and I love the themes in the show. My favorite part about JoJo's is how the themes are actually everywhere and implemented into everything, from the stands to the fights. I really love the themes that are implemented. Like, what kind of themes, though? I'm trying to remember JoJo's themes. I love JoJo's, but I don't remember particular themes, if that makes sense. I'm not saying it didn't have. I'm saying I don't remember because my brain is forgetful. What I remember about JoJo's and what I love about JoJo's is the designs, the hilariousness, the ever-evolving power system. Like, there's a lot that I love about the JoJo's, but I never really thought about the themes. What would you guys say are some JoJo's themes? Maybe I should Google it. Themes in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I'm a bit worried about spoilers, but someone asked, what do you think are the overarching themes of the various JoJo parts? So here's one that says part 5 is nature versus nurture. Part 1 is duality. Part 2 is humanity versus something bigger. Part 4, not all enemies are bad guys, but some are. Ooh, Araki has said that JoJo's is an ode to humanity, on just how incredible and ingenious mankind can be. Whoa. They all have an element of fate or destiny, so I'm not going to include them in my descriptions. Part 1, humanity and how your blood affects your personality and ambitions. So your blood meaning your family and your home life. Part 2, humanity, the lengths that people are willing to go to improve themselves. Part 3, heritage and vengeance, family ties. Part 4, the inner benevolence and heroism of normal people as citizens of a community. Part 5, ambition. Part 6, family ties, freedom and faith. And then I'm not going to read the rest. That is very cool. It makes me definitely want to read. Like, I love JoJo's. JoJo's is literally the reason why my music taste is what it is. I listen to a lot of 80s music. Okay, maybe not so much in this year because I've been listening to Celtic music. But since I watched JoJo's like a few years ago, I listened to so much. That Sail Away song. It's one of my favorites of all time. Doji says yes, Destiny is the main theme. So, yeah, I just had my first watch through with JoJo's was very, I love JoJo's days. It was very exciting and wild, but I would definitely benefit from reading JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I think it is on Shonen Jump, so I think I should definitely give it a try pretty soon. Bizarre. Soto says you went Viking, I went Korean. Okay, we are still continuing. The Magic Man of No Jamia. My top 3 is Dragon Ball. Wait, oops, I didn't do a cross here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Oh, I'm just gonna do 5 plus 1. Yes. Dragon Ball, My Hero Academia. There's another one. And One Piece. Dragon Ball. There are many things I love about the show. It is what made me connect with so many people that I know now. It's the show that made me and my brother connect, and of course my best friend, may he rest in peace, who I knew since 3rd year of kindergarten. The thing I love the most about it are the characters. My favorite is of course Wiz, but there are so many that could fit into my top 10. My Hero Academia and One Piece now keep switching places depending on the day. They both have incredible stories and characters, and every day my love for both shows keep growing. I skipped my own comment. Hi Walid. Granddaddy Otaku Master, the Dragon Ball series. Need I say more? Let me add it before I forget. Dragon Ball. It just hits that classic hype energy. It's simple in the best way. Strong characters constantly pushing past their limits, legendary transformations and fights that feel larger than life. It's one of those shows that makes you feel pumped and nostalgic at the same time. And so many iconic anime moments come from it. Vegeta remains that guy. Long live Prince of All Saiyans. Number 2, One Piece. To this day, it brings back fond memories. It is so good to me because it feels like a real adventure that never loses its heart. The world building is insane, and I love how even characters who show up briefly can have an emotional story that sticks with you. It balances humor, epic fights, and genuinely emotional moments perfectly. And watching the crew chase their dreams make the journey feel personal. Let's face it, we all want to be a pirate. And last but not least, Naruto and Shippuden. It stands out to me because it's not just about the fighting. It's about growth, pain, and wanting to be understood. Watching Naruto go from an outcast to someone respected feels incredibly satisfying. And the relationships, especially the rivalries and friendships, give the story real emotional weight. It's not a story about warriors. It's a lesson about life and sacrifice. Honorable mention, Boruto. I know, Boruto gets a lot of criticism because of filler and the writing, but I honestly think that people overlook how much character growth is happening. Seeing the next generation deal with living in a peaceful world shaped by legends is really interesting, and the main story has some beautifully written moments. And toward the end, it feels like everything is building towards something that I don't want to read about because it might be a spoiler. But I really want to watch Boruto, and that sounds so cool. The next generation dealing with living in a peaceful world shaped by legends? That is so unique and cool. I was going to watch Boruto right after finishing Shippuden, and then everyone was like, don't, it's so bad. Oh no, horrible. And then I just gave up. Usually I don't care what people say, but this was like my inner circle of people judging you. I wanted to write the whole 5 pages, but I figured I'd spare you the headache. Next up, wait, did I add one to Naruto? I didn't. Fiore! Come back to Wild Rift, Fiore. I'm joking. Hunter x Hunter! I already loved Yu Yu Hakusho, so Togashi's new work had a head start. Why do I love it? For the same reason I hate it. Every time Togashi gets tired, he completely changes genres, often leaving things without a real ending. But at the same time, it's like starting a new story from scratch. So that's probably very exciting. That's number 1, Hunter x Hunter. Number 2, Fire Force. As above, I love Soul Eater. So obviously, I immediately took an interest in Okubo's new story. Why do I love it? Arthur Boyle. Need I say more? Joking aside, not only did it give me my absolute favorite character, but without making any big claims, it managed to give me some excellent plot twists in addition to fantastic fights. Who needs more from a shonen? Ooh, Fire Force first mention! And last but not least, FMAB. FMAB. How many times is FMAB mentioned? I have 2 points only. I feel like there should be 3. But also the first semi-original series, which, although inferior, did something that is not often seen. It allowed me to enjoy the characters a second time in a different context. I even liked Conqueror of Shambhala. Why do I love it? Because it is a story of loss and finding, revenge and acceptance, where the characters made the whole world and the world made the characters. There would be much more to say, but obviously I have to limit myself. Honorable mention to Black Clover. I'm sorry for Fairy Tail Guild that I love so much, but the Black Bulls are the greatest group of crazy weirdos ever assembled. They make me binge like 50 episodes in 2 to 3 days. I want to watch Black Clover! The new season comes out in October. And I'm not going to be able to watch it this year. I think that might be... Okay, here's another one. From a T... ... Dragon Ball. Another one for Dragon Ball. In this one, I'm including DB, Z, GT, Super, and the movies. I have known this manga anime my entire life, so I'm very biased. I had a poster of DBZ movie 10 above my bed for the majority of my childhood. My favorite part of the anime is it, but I also love the other parts. Number 2, One Piece. Some people say One Piece takes a while to get good, but I immediately... Me too! Episode 1! I tell you. Like, the first 5 minutes. I don't even remember what happened in the first 5 minutes. I remember... In the manga, it starts with... And then the barrel, and then the way he, like, breaks out of the barrel. I love everything. I immediately liked this show from the first episode. From Luffy's personality and bluntness when speaking to Kobe and Alvida, one of my favorite quotes is like, I don't like you. Which reminded me of Goku, to the premise of the show, since I enjoyed this adventure stories. And then, last but not least, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I had to edit this one. I had a different answer, but I just realized that wasn't a shonen. However, I believe that the first 6 parts of JoJo are shonen, and while I didn't love every part equally, it is still one of my favorite shows. JoJo's is doing really well. Ragna Akali, Dragon Ball Z, number 1. It has its flaws, but will always be number 1. The text would be too long to explain, so in short, the main reasons are, I grew up watching it when it was huge, so Goku especially is very unique to me. And the soundtrack, the tense and hype moments are amazing to watch. Then our first mention of Yu-Gi-Oh! Specifically 5DS. Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh! 5DS. The whole show is amazing. The music, the bonds between the main group of characters, but the main reason is the protagonist. Yusei is my favorite anime character. He's calm, cool, and friendly personality is what makes me like him so much, because I relate with him a lot. And then Saint Seiya. I only watched it for like 10 years ago. Besides it being as old as Dragon Ball. Wait, let me try and read that again. I only watched it for real like 10 years ago. Besides it being as old as Dragon Ball, it wasn't that famous. And I loved it. The main group is fantastic. The music, the tension during the fights are like no other. It is very emotional in two opposite ways. Beautiful and dramatic. So another one for Saint Seiya. Then there's lots of discussions about Saint Seiya between Kraken and Ragnar Kali. And also, I think some other discussions. JT. And JT is someone that was in the community a while back and is now back again. Picking my 3 favorite shonen of all time is honestly such a hard question because there are so many incredible series from every era that I love. I could easily turn this into a top 10, but if I'm choosing purely based on the impact that it's had on my life, here is my top 3. Number 1 has to be One Piece. From the very beginning, it captured the perfect essence of adventure and dreams. Watching Luffy set sail with nothing but belief in becoming king of the pirates, gathering amazing friends along the way, feels like witnessing the journey of a lifetime. The world building and lore are on another level, and the flashbacks and storytelling for the supporting cast are just as powerful as they are for the main crew. Seeing how the animation has evolved over 25 years is incredible. I have never seen another anime maintain such longevity while continuing to level up the way that it has. Second is Dragon Ball Z. The one that started it all. It was my first anime. Yes, it has its story flaws, no doubt, but it's still incredible to watch in both sub and dub for nostalgic reasons. The music, the action, and the Super Saiyan transformations are all legendary. Or should we say, iconic. The Frieza saga and the Cell saga are forever, there it is, iconic. It truly feels like the godfather of Battle Shonen as we know it, and helped define what the genre became, at least for me. The third one was tough. I was tossing up between JoJo's and Hunter x Hunter, but ultimately Hunter x Hunter 2011 takes it. There's just so much about it that I love, from the world building and lore to the characters and especially the Nen power system. The strategy in the fights, where characters constantly try to outthink each other, makes every battle compelling because it's not just about strength. It's about intelligence and raw survival. So another one for Hunter x Hunter. Sal says, I can't decide on favorite shonen. I think I decided shonen is tiring. Really? I'm disappointed. Gintama probably top 3. I probably would have picked Naruto at some point, but in retrospect, I don't know. One Punch Man probably would have been up there, but recent seasons also brought it down. Maybe Mob Psycho. There's some that it fits. It's hard for me to decide if they're actually shonen. I'm reading it in this kind of voice because everyone is so passionate about shonen and like, oh, what it meant to them and when it got them into anime and how it changed their lives and their morals. And Sally's like, I think I decided it's tiring. It makes me care too much. I'm joking. I'm sure it's not that. I'm quite curious what does that mean though? How tiring? Like it's too much to commit to, like watching all the episodes? Hi Walid, again, thank you for your sub. I already talked to you, but welcome again. Thank you for 14 months. Pre agrees with Sal saying that it's really hard for me as well. Okay, let's see if there's anything else. Yes, Waleed. Talking about Waleed right before your message. Good timing. Number 1, Dragon Ball. Of course, it has to be Dragon Ball for me because Dragon Ball is part of my life. I feel like I can't live without it. I've been watching it since I was 5 years old, and I feel like it's changed my life and it made me a better person because I look up to Son Goku and try to be like him. I enjoy every episode, and every second I see Goku on the screen, it's making me happy. I like almost all of the characters. After all these years, it's still a really fun and unique anime to this day. This anime sometimes feels predictable, but it's not predictable at the same time. And it keeps surprising you over and over again. And Dragon Ball will make you laugh, happy, sad, hyped. The saddest part for me was when the series ended with GT years ago. I was very sad about not getting to watch more of Goku and the others. And I was so happy when my favorite anime returned in the last years. It felt like an important person came back to life for me. That is why Dragon Ball, you are really number 1. And then, second, One Piece. One Piece became part of my life too. For how much years the manga and anime have been going, it will be no wonder that it would be part of my life. I watched it since I was like 11 or 12, and now I'm 27 years old. It's really fun and a great adventure anime with wonderful world and a lot of amazing characters. I still can't wait to see what's coming next from this story. And third, we have a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Another great adventure, but it's too bizarre and it keeps getting more bizarre. This anime has a lot of great characters and unique powers that is so interesting, and each part has a unique story and theme that keeps me watching and reading to see what more surprises me or bizarre things I will see next. And we're getting close to the end. At this point, I'm gonna finish everything, and then we have Magi season 2 to look forward to. Let's go. Oscar. Lately, work has been piling up so much that it's honestly starting to crush me. Most of the time, the only thing I can manage is watching Patreon replay videos of animation reactions. Maybe that meant anime-chan reactions. Hoping I can catch up to the current progress soon. When I saw how well everyone wrote for this special project, I squeezed out some time to write my own list too. Thank you, Oscar! Gambare. Do your best at work. Number 1, Dragon Ball. As an introductory work to shonen manga, this series profoundly influenced my childhood. From the classic opening adventure theme of Dragon Ball to the peak storytelling of Z, and then to the character development and elevation in GT. The passionate fighting scenes have always been what I admired most. It even shaped my standards for appreciating Hollywood superhero movies. Number 2, first mention of Ippo. In the sports manga anime genre, Slam Dunk is a classic among Asian fans, but the work is too short. Hajime no Ippo, while also unfinished, is equally inspiring. The series is so outstanding that it became the reason I collected the entire physical manga set. A work that began in the 90s and is still being serialized today, while continuing to gain massive popularity. It is absolutely worth reading. And then number 3, One Piece. It features extremely diverse and well-developed character backstories. Among the big 3 anime of its era, it clearly surpasses Bleach. If comparing a single arc, Naruto's Pain arc might be slightly better than any individual arc in One Piece, but overall, One Piece is superior to Naruto. Obviously, we're talking opinions here. No one put on their gloves, I'm just saying. Although the series is still unfinished and it's hard to make a final judgment, it truly deserves its top tier status. So I put one for Ippo, Dragon Ball, and One Piece. Can you just... My air conditioner is too cold, but if I put it off, it's too humid and hot. And here was the announcement on, I don't know what anime Twitter tweeted, but JoJo's Steel Ball Run anime starts in exactly 1 month with a 47-minute first episode. Woohoo! Very, very excited. Okay, we still have a Dark Shadow and the Ray. There are a few other series that were up there on my list, but after thinking on it, I realized that these three series are the ones I could watch from start to finish any number of times and enjoy it every time. Number 1, One Piece. I haven't been on the One Piece journey nearly as long as most people, but it has still been part of my life for over a decade, which is crazy to think about, and I have loved every second of it. The story and characters are crafted so well that they can make us tear up one moment and burst out laughing the next, and then be ready to punch our screens a few seconds later. The world is diverse and imaginative, and each new arc truly feels like a brand new adventure, and I like that we get the time to really immerse ourselves in each island and location, and the little hints to the overarching story that comes with each new place. Some might say it's too long, but for me, that just means that there are more things to love about it, so I can't see anything else ever taking my top anime spot. Number 2, Frieren. Okay, where is Frieren? Another one for Frieren. It easily stands out in my mind as one of the best anime to come out in recent years. A truly wonderful experience from the very beginning. It definitely has some hype scenes and fights, but it is the emotional moments and the simple beauty of the story and characters that really stood out to me the most. For me, it's an anime for the soul, and there are many learnings or ideas to take away about friendship, saying how we feel and the impact we can have on others, even if it might not seem that way. The OST is amazing. Regularly makes it into my working music rotation. And then number 3, the first mention of Haikyuu. I'm not a particularly sporty person, neither playing nor watching any sport for most of my life, but I immediately loved Haikyuu for the start, and it has even led me to watch some in real life volleyball on occasion. At its core, it might sound simple, but there is a lot to take away from the story, and there are a few characters or certain moments with them that I particularly resonated with. The characters themselves and the comedy they bring play a big part in my love for the series. I can clearly see that wig flying into Daichi's head in my mind. I can clearly see that wig flying into Daichi's head in my mind. I feel like I'm not remembering a specific scene. Okay. Races. Number 1, Hunter x Hunter. Great power system, great character breakdowns, and great character development, specifically in the Chimera Ant arc. Number 2, the first mention of Ass Class. Assassination Classroom. I love that every character in the class gets a focus, and they all have their own character development, even if it's small. Obviously, some have more focus than others, and Koro Sensei is an inspiration in my life. It helped me get through my high school days when things got tough. And last but not least, we have another vote for One Piece. Great world building and excellent emotional character moments. In terms of character moments and emotional beats, almost nothing beats One Piece. It is one of the best out there. Okay, I think that is everyone. So now, nope. Odinoko and Joan. You guys answered while I was recording, no problem. Number 3, Digimon, the first 2 series, mainly for nostalgia, but I really like the way they make you care for the characters. The music is a part of my playlist, and the action never disappoints. Okay, Digimon, something I also want to watch someday. Number 2, Dragon Ball Z GT Super movies. Especially since the rewatch, I really admire how self-aware, funny, genuine, and action-packed the series were. there is a point where people are afraid to admit they like something for being too simple, and they end up bashing it. But I like that in their simplicity, they reached amazing development for characters and story. And lost. No. It's 3, 2, 1. Okay, number 1, One Piece. It has, in my opinion, the best mix of comedy, lightheartedness, and genuine heart of all shonen. By taking even the comedy seriously, they manage the perfect juxtaposition that gives it an air of investment for a story that feels epic while handling important and real themes. Do you guys hear the Hadidas? Why am I a walking thesaurus? Juxtaposition, a perfect parallels that gives it, it's parallels, right? Parallels that give it an air of investment for a story that feels epic while handling very important real themes both in and out of the universe. I wrote down everything, right? Did I add the one for One Piece there? I don't know if I did. Yeah, I don't know. I did the Digimon. I wrote down Digimon. I added the Dragon Ball. I'm not sure about One Piece. And Joan, sorry for the late response. Number 1, Dragon Ball All. It's my first anime I've ever watched. It got me back into anime again in 2015, and how did I do that? How did I do that? I hit myself in the head with a pen. Don't look, it's a podcast. You didn't see that. I just dropped my pen. Sorry, Joan. Let's try that again. Number 1, Dragon Ball. It's my first anime I've ever watched. It got me back into anime again in 2015, and just Goku and his friends always have been a part of my life, and they've been like a second family to me. I've watched them struggle, grow, live their lives, have kids. Even if sometimes they piss me off, I always go back to them. Number 2, JoJo's. All of it. I fell in love with this franchise because of one of my dearest friends. She made me watch the whole thing, and just that experience alone of watching it together along with her is something so close and special and dear in my heart. That makes me put it second. And number 3, this one is hard because there's so many great anime out there. I'm sad that I can't include manga as well. But My Hero Academia has to be my third option. The first seasons got me hooked like crazy, and it's such a cute and nice story as a whole. Even though the fandom is kind of crazy about ships, I loved interacting with them too. Another one for My Hero. Okay. So let's just quickly read through everything. We had Assassination Classroom, Death Note, Mob, Kenshin, Bleach, Hunter x Hunter, D. Greyman, My Hero Academia, Saint Seiya, One Piece, Black Clover, which got less votes than I expected, Dr. Stone, Dragon Ball, Nejima, Dragon Quest, Love Hina, GTO. Although I have to point out, Nejima, Dragon Quest, Love Hina, and GTO were all by the same person. So that's one more than, but okay. Gintama, Hitman Reborn, Chainsaw Man, JoJo's, which did very well. I think JoJo's is a contender for top 3. Yeah, definitely. We had Attack on Titan, Beastars, Frieren, Fairy Tail, Naruto, FMAB, Trigun, Jujutsu Kaisen, Fire Force, Yu-Gi-Oh! 5DS, Ippo, Haikyuu, and Digimon. The top 3 that got the most amount of votes in order are One Piece, Dragon Ball, and JoJo's. So, the modern big 3. No, I'm joking. No points for Magi. And many said it was their favorite shonen when we started the reactions. Oh, fitting. True. But maybe because of how it ended, or maybe because, Like they just gave up on it, and there's never another season. It's very difficult to compete like shorter shows with these long ones, you know, because One Piece, Dragon Ball, and JoJo's, what do they have in common? They've been around for a long time. Okay, I don't have a lot of time left before I start Magi reactions for today, but I'm going to not overthink it too much. Obviously, my number one is One Piece. From the very first moment that I saw Luffy, I loved the show. I loved the feeling of adventure. I loved the art style. I loved the story. And as things progressed, Luffy climbed higher and higher and higher on my favorites list and is currently at the number one. I absolutely love him. For me, the more time I get to spend with characters, the more close I feel to them. And it's not just empty time. Like, in every moment, the characters are learning, growing, joking. Like, it's not just seeing them, but it's where we see them, what they're doing, interactions. Like, it's valuable time. So One Piece without a doubt. Now 2 and 3. Oh, and definitely One Piece really helped me to think more and more critically and in depth about the world. I don't remember, this might not be the best place to bring it up, but it is very important. Do you guys remember the year in which I watched Law's backstory? I don't know why, specifically during Law's, maybe Nox, if you're still here, maybe you could remember. It might still be in our DMs or something. But I think around the time of Law's backstory, I started doing research into like bad things in the world. Like the topic came up of how like slavery isn't over. Like, it's not, we haven't put an end to it. It just has been rebranded, and it's now like human trafficking. And it's definitely been longer than 2 years, because I was in the old house, and I've been in this house for 3 years. So it has to be 3 or 4 years ago, right? When I started doing research about slavery and stuff, and how it's just been rebranded, so that we're not fighting against it anymore, but it's still like happening in the world. And I think recently, with all the stuff that's coming out about human trafficking and how corrupt the world, the biggest, most powerful people in the world is. Oh, it was, Booty says it was Rocinante's backstory around episode 700. And I uploaded those around July 2021. So it was 5 years ago that I started researching human trafficking and stuff. And there was still a specific woman on Twitter that was trying to raise a lot of awareness. And I remember reading Epstein theories back then, like these crazy, this island shit, and like people were calling other people insane and conspiracy theorists and all these kinds of stuff. And One Piece just taught me that you don't have to believe everything that you read online or that anyone tells you, but you have to be aware of what goes on in the world. And it taught me, like my pinned tweet, it taught me that you can't trust any governing body like blindly. So I think One Piece has had the biggest impact on my life and my way of thinking. So it's easily my number one. Let me just quickly see that pinned tweet. It says from September 13, 2021. So in July 2021, when I posted those videos with Donkey Hote Donkey, with Rocinante's backstory, that's when I started really researching these kinds of things and looking into, these conspiracies and whatnot. And then by September, I made a post and I said, the best things that One Piece has taught me is the importance of freedom and to never trust any governing body unconditionally. And it just made me realize, like, oh, there's a lot of good things in the world. Like One Piece really emphasizes the best things in the world, but also the worst. So I love it for that. And now, I'm going to add a vote then from me for One Piece as number 1. But what would be on my list technically? I have My Hero Academia, Bleach, Vinland Saga. Vinland Saga, is that a shonen or a seinen? It's probably a seinen, right? I would have put Vinland Saga actually. Yeah, it's 94% seinen. Damn it! Damn it! Okay, so I can't put Vinland Saga. I really appreciate My Hero Academia for being a complete story with a phenomenal ending. So I really like that one. And then I have to admit, My Hero Academia, okay. The thing is, 86 is incomplete. Vinland Saga is a seinen. Bleach is heavily influenced by nostalgia, but man, does it have great visuals, great OST, great characters, just memorable on all counts. So if I eliminate 86, because I've only seen 2 seasons, and there's just like one part that really stands out for me, and that's why it's in my top 10. But I'm not going to choose that. That one's too much nostalgia. I'm not sure about it. It's tough. So then technically it would be Kimetsu no Yaiba versus Dragon Ball. But I mean, of course I'm going to choose Dragon Ball. Why is Dragon Ball not even higher by now? Like, when was the last time I moved things around here? I love Demon Slayer, and I probably love it even more than I would. Let me do this. I know the reason. I had an amazing experience with Demon Slayer. It's a straightforward story with amazing visuals and characters. And only one time in the last 4 whatever years I've been watching it, one time that I get shit from the community because I didn't like one guy. And it was over after 1 episode. With Dragon Ball, however, how much shit have I gotten? The people, like, as much as I love the show, the characters, like, Dragon Ball has so much heart, but Z is so exciting. So much hype, like, I get it. But half of the fandom is insane. And they're very difficult to talk to, especially when it comes to Vegeta. And that is why it's lower, because my experience with it as a reactor, as a person who shares her discussions and her first impressions, sadly, the fandom has an impact on my feelings on a story because of the overall experience. And for that reason, Dragon Ball is lower than... Dragon Ball should be in my top 5, but it's not because of the fans. And not the Japanese fans. I'm just saying. But anyway, so probably when I give a little bit more distance between the last year of fighting with Vegeta fans, maybe Dragon Ball would be my number 3. But at the moment, I'm going to say One Piece, My Hero Academia, Bleach, as it is listed, boom, 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 on my thingamabob. It should be Vinland Saga though, but that's seinen, so that would take its place. That would take its place, but I already explained why it doesn't. So, but what I can do at this point, no. But I want to move it higher, but not yet. Let me give it some more time to breathe. DBZ was 4th at some point, I believe, but then you started to move recent. Wait, 4th? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think it was 4th. I don't remember it being that high. Maybe after some certain moments, I push, yeah, you're right. It could have been. Because sometimes my recency bias influences this list. And then after some time, I go back and like put it. And then I just like, no, I didn't give Bleach another point. Bleach gets a point. One Piece got a point. And My Hero Academia got a point. Fandoms is the reason why I have not seen SNK. Attack on Titan? Shingeki no Kyojin? Yeah, well, they were also insane. They were more insane than Vegeta fans. But that's why Attack on Titan is below Dragon Ball. But as a story, Attack on Titan would probably... It depends on what I'm like. But in terms of rewatchability, Dragon Ball Z any day. I would rewatch it 100 times. What would I give my kids to read? Dragon Ball. You know? So it should be higher on my list. It will eventually probably be in my top 5 at the very least. But for now, I just need a little bit of time away from Vegeta fans, cause... Okay. Thank you guys for listening to me for the last 90 minutes. I had a lot of fun reading everyone's thoughts on Shonen, and I absolutely love to see how much it has influenced some people in the community. Like, I feel like any kid growing up with One Piece, Dragon Ball, Bleach, all of these things, with My Hero Academia, with Dr. Stone, with Chainsaw Man, like kids who grow up with all of these shonen, it's special. There is something special to me about Japanese shonen. That is why I chose it as the first question of the week, bringing back the podcast. There is just something special about Japanese shonen, and I think that majority of kids growing up with this will be good people. Or at the very least, I don't know, the kind of people the world needs more of. Top 5, I would need to... There wasn't... Let me see here. Naruto got 4 votes. Hunter x Hunter got 5 votes. My Hero Academia got 5 votes. Everything else got just a few mentions. So it would probably be One Piece, Dragon Ball, JoJo's in that order. And then Hunter x Hunter and My Hero Academia are tied. And Naruto is in 6th place. But that is just based on my community. All of these shonen are great. All of them that I've watched. Let's quickly count how many have I seen. Death Note, Mob, Bleach, Hunter x Hunter, My Hero Academia, One Piece, Dr. Stone, Dragon Ball, GTO, Gintama, Chainsaw Man, JoJo's, Attack on Titan, Frieren, Fairy Tail, Naruto, if it may be, Trigun, Jujutsu Kaisen, Fire Force, Haikyuu. So that is 21 out of what, 30 or so? Almost 30 shows. And I would watch them all again. In fact, watching shonen more than once is almost necessary. Odinoko says, honorable mentions. Konosuba, not a shonen. Naruto and the Zoids. Nostalgia, recency bias. Why honorable mention for something that's not a shonen? But okay, you got it in there. So, one more interesting thing. Browse anime genres. Let's check. Shonen. Give me a second. No, where's shonen? Okay, there we go. So, according to AniList, sorted by popularity, because that is what, we were doing, just choosing your personal favorite. The most popular shonen, the top 10 is, and I'm going to exclude sequels and movies. Attack on Titan is the most popular on any list. This is obviously not a Japanese site. We have Attack on Titan, we have Demon Slayer, Death Note, Jujutsu Kaisen, My Hero Academia, Hunter x Hunter, One Piece, FMAB, Naruto, The Promised Neverland. Oh, that's 10, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, those are the top 10. Ooh, The Promised Neverland is this shonen? Well, that's my favorite manga of all time until One Piece is finished. So, thank you for watching or listening. And I'm not sure I'll be able to do these once every week if I'm going to be reading lots of comments. But I have an idea that in the future, if there are like less popular type of questions, we might not always get this kind of like big answer group. So we'll have to see. But I'm going to do my best to do once a week. But even if I can do like 2 a month, would be great, I think. Very fun. Something I will look forward to.